Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Kaya's Commentary. So today I want to talk about Space Jam, both of them. Specifically though, I want to talk about why I think Space Jam New Legacy is getting a lot of hate and why I feel like it doesn't deserve half the hate that it's getting. This isn't going to be some deep philosophical review of the movies like other YouTubers may be doing on this topic. More so, this is Space Jam, this is the plot, this is New Legacy, this is how they differ, this is why I feel like the differences are maybe more appropriate for the time period. Nevertheless though, if you haven't seen either Space Jam film, spoilers ahead. Before I get to that though, you can follow me on Instagram at kaya.r.pennington, on Snapchat at queenathena44, and on Twitter at kayarpennington. Getting down to the video. So Space Jam came out in 1996, the original Space Jam film. It starred Michael Jordan, it also co-starred Bill Murray, Charles Barkley, and a lot of other all-star basketball players of that time period. So it starts off with a young Michael Jordan. He's playing basketball at night. His dad calls him into the house. They have a heart-to-heart, and it's here we see that Michael Jordan loves basketball. We then see a sequence of events, or a sequence of his greatest accomplishments as a basketball star, up until his retirement announcement that he's retiring from basketball to go to baseball. And then the film starts off and it kind of mocks his maybe lackluster skills at baseball. And so he comes home that day from a game. He's annoyed because when he's up to play in the game, he has people telling him don't swing or do this or do that, and you know, he wants to play the game, he wants to do it, and he has all these people telling him what and how to do it. So he's annoyed. He sees that his son is home, his kids, and particularly his son is home watching TV, and his son is annoyed that, you know, he lost his own baseball game. So they're watching the news and they see this reporter bashing Jordan's skill of baseball, or maybe his lack of skill at baseball. And so Jordan changes the TV and he changes to Looney Tunes. Now on the Looney Tunes side, they have their own crisis going on because they have aliens trying to make them their prisoners. So it's basically the Looney Tunes are the aliens steal the all-star basketball players' basketball skills, and so now they're really big basketball players and they have all these skills, and they challenge the Looney Tune characters to a basketball game. And if the aliens win, the Looney Tune characters will be their prisoners. So the Looney Tunes go to Michael Jordan. They basically essentially kidnap Michael Jordan into Looney Tune land. He doesn't turn into a cartoon, by the way. He stays his 3D human self, and when the Looney Tune characters go to real life world, they don't become 3D characters. They stay 2D cartoons. So they bring him to Looney Tune land and they're like, we need your help, you're one of the greatest. We have to play these Munstars, which is what the aliens call themselves, and if they win, we become their prisoners. So we need your help. So Jordan is like, I haven't played basketball in a very long time. I don't even have the right kind of equipment. So Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck go to get his equipment, and they go through a whole bunch of loony rundowns of the game of basketball. But when the time for the actual game comes around, Jordan finally meets the aliens and the big baddie, and he's like, the big baddie is like, forget the Looney Tune characters. If we win, I get you. You're gonna be a star attraction in my amusement park. And that's why he wanted the Looney Tune characters, because he wanted them at his amusement park. So he's like, if I win, I get you. So they play basketball, and the Looney Tunes are losing at first. And so they go to the locker room, and Jordan tries to give them a pep talk with the help of Bugs Bunny. And it works, and then they go back out there and they crush the Munstars. And so the Munstars end up having to give the skills back to the players. They transfer the skills back to a basketball so that Jordan can transfer the skills back to them. And so the Looney Tune characters win, yay! And Jordan goes back to the real world, and he gives the basketball players their skill back. Like, they touch the ball with the skills and they get their skills back. And then they kind of challenge him to a basketball game, and he's like, yeah, maybe I'll take you up on it. And then the movie ends with Jordan's return to basketball. So I kind of skipped over a lot of stuff, or a few things, just a few things, because that's really the whole plot of the film. It's focused mainly on Jordan, his career from basketball to baseball to back to basketball. Like that the Looney Tunes lit the fire in him to want to play basketball again. And so that's really kind of Space Jam, the original Space Jam. It's a kid's film, and that cartoons, maybe your favorite cartoon is Looney Tunes, maybe your favorite basketball player is Michael Jordan, and you want to watch the two interact. It's a kid's film, and that, you know, maybe it holds a kid's attention better than it would hold an adult's attention. It's loony, it's kind of childish. So it's a kid's movie in that. It's an adult movie, a family-friendly film, and that it has a lot of adult themes. As often is the case with kids movies and kids cartoons, there are a lot of adult innuendos. For one, there was Pepe Le Pew, the skunk who always pushes up on Penelope Pussycat. He thinks she's a skunk, and so she's always like, no, get away, and he's always very persistent. And then there is Lola Bunny. Lola Bunny is a very sexualized female bunny. She comes to the gym, she comes to the game, and well, she comes to the gym anyway, and short shorts and a crop top. She has the over-exaggerated hourglass figure. Her hips sway as she enters and exits a room. There's the sultry jazz music behind her as she comes and goes. She's very sexualized. Even like all the Looney Tune characters are like, wow, she's hot, wow, wow. Even Tweety Bird, who was like a baby bird, is like, wow, she's hot. She turns Bugs Bunny stiff when they have interactions. So she's very sexualized, and that's very an adult theme. Despite her sexualization though, she's a badass. Like she's not just for looks, right? She's very, very, very skilled at the game of basketball. She's very sassy. When people call her doll, she dunks on them, and she's like, don't ever call me doll, right? She's very sassy. She's very attractive on all fronts. She's smart and she's sexy on all fronts is the concept idea for her character. So it had its adult themes, but it was also a kid-friendly film. Now, fast forward to 2021, and you have a sequel. People like to call it a sequel. I don't really call New Legacy a sequel because I feel like Space Jam and New Legacy aren't really compatible enough to be sequels. But, and one last thing that I will say about Space Jam is, despite its flaws, I loved it. You know, I grew up on it. I didn't go see it in theaters, obviously, because I wasn't born yet, but I grew up with it on a VHS tape. It is a part of my childhood, and it is very nostalgic. So when I heard that they were doing this sequel to it, I had no desire to watch it. Not because of anything nostalgic based, it's just new legacy, new generation. So I was like, the new generation can have that. I'm satisfied with what I have. Sexualization, over-sexualization, and creepy skunk dude and all. Even though, you know, definitely could have been done better in 1996. One would hope that times would have been a bit better, because hey, you had Xena in 1996. Y'all telling me y'all didn't know that over-sexualizing a bunny, a cartoon bunny, and a weird rapey skunk was bad? Y'all couldn't change that? But that aside, those two characters aside, I still like that film. So there's that. Fast forward to 2021, we have New Legacy starring LeBron James, and the film starts off exactly like the original. It's a kid James with his father. Kid James likes to play video games, and his father is like, you don't need to be focused on those games, you need to be more focused on the game of basketball, the real life game of basketball. And so we see that his father is hard on him about playing basketball. Then there's that sequence of his greatest basketball accomplishments, from Cleveland to Miami to Cleveland again, and then to LA Lakers, right? We see all of that, and then fast forward again, and he has his own little family set up. He has 2 kids. We're gonna focus on the younger one, Dom. Dom and James, their relationship isn't the greatest. They don't always see eye to eye. Dom is a techie person. He also likes video games. He created his own video game. It's still basketball, but he created his own video game. And in this game, it's not just the real life basketball game. You don't just get points for scoring the basket. You get points for creativity and style, right? So he has his own game, but James wants him to focus on the real life game of basketball like his dad wanted him to. So they have a spat, and James tries to make up for it by taking Dom to a Warner Brothers meeting that he has. And the Warner Brothers execs are like, hey, we got this idea from artificial intelligence. How do you feel about it? LeBron James in film and cartoons and video games. And so James is like, I'm not feeling it. But Dom is like, I like it. I'm a techie person myself. I created my own video game. I'm gonna go to this video game camp convention next week. And James is like, no, you're not. You're gonna go to basketball camp. So they have another spat, and they storm off, and they get lost in this building, and they end up getting lost in like a server room. And this is where the AI, the big baddie, played by Don Cheadle, kidnaps James and Dom. And it's like, the only way you see your son again, the only way you get out of this world again, he kidnaps them and brings them into the virtual world. So he's like, the only way you get out of this world and see your son again is if you play a game of basketball with me. But before they can further discuss it, James falls further into the virtual world. And as he's falling, he passes the Wizard of Oz, he passes Casablanca, he passes Harry Potter, and lands in Looney Tune Land. And this is where he becomes a cartoon. So, he meets Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny is the only one in Looney Tunes Land because the AI convinced all the other characters that they could do better than this one land. So like Lola Bunny is in Amazon Land. She's about to become an Amazon. Porky Pig and Daffy Duck are in Metropolis and Gotham trying to be superheroes. Granny is in the Matrix. She's doing Matrix-like stuff. So they're all in these other worlds. And so James is like, I have to get a basketball team going to defeat this guy to get out of here. And so James wants, you know, all the big time Warner Brothers characters like Superman, King Kong, and all of that. But Bugs tricks him into helping him get all the Looney Tunes characters back. And so that's their team. It's not the team that he wanted, but it's the team that he got. And so he was like, okay, I can teach them to play real life basketball because they're playing Looney version of basketball and they're cheating and doing all these crazy things. And James is like, that's not how you play the game, this is how you play. So as James and Bugs Bunny argue about how to play the game of basketball, the clock to the game is ticking down. There's a huge clock that's ticking down to game time. Now on the AI side, he is tricking Dom. He tricked Dom into telling him how he created his game so that the AI could take over his game. He also tricked Dom into creating or further animating his characters in his game. Like I said, you get points for originality and style in Dom's game. So Dom made one of his basketball characters a spider or a snake or a hawk or something like that, right? So by the time the game comes around, he has all these superstar players because they have been animated. So when the game time comes and the clock ticks down, the AI shows up. He transforms the Looney Tunes characters from 2D cartoons to 3D cartoons. They're still cartoons, they're just 3D. He also transforms LeBron James back into his 3D human self. And then he brings out all these Warner Brothers characters to watch the game. Like there's the Scooby Gang, and there's the Flintstones, and there's the live action Robin, Batman, and Catwoman, and then there's the Mask and all these other characters, King Kong, all these other characters. And in addition to all the Warner Brothers characters, he brings in real life people to this game. So he was live streaming the game, and if you had the app and if you were watching it on your phone, you got sucked into your phone and brought into this world to watch the game. So the AI was like, we're gonna play this game. If I win, you all stay here, and if they win, you all get to leave. So for the first half of the game, the Looney Tunes are losing the game with Dom's help because Dom is helping the AI, and so they're losing the game. And they're also losing the game because they're trying to play like LeBron James. And so when they go into the locker room and they have a talk about it, Lola Bunny is like, we're trying to play like you. And this is where James finally understands. You can't play like me because you're not me. You have to play like you. And so in addition to that little pep talk, Sylvester the cat brings in Michael B. Jordan, the actor, because he thought he was Michael Jordan. And there's a little funny scene with that. And then they go back out to the court and they crush the AI. Now, as they go back out to the court and they start winning the game, Dom starts to understand that, hey, I don't want to be against my dad, I want to be with him. So he switches sides, and that's ultimately what helps them win the game, along with Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny made a sacrifice. So for them to win that final point in the game, they had to do a LeBron James special move. Like, it was it's a move that is, you know, step back, crossover. I don't know. I'm not a sports person, but if you are a LeBron James fan, you know what I'm talking about. It's his special move. However, to do this move, like when this move is done, it glitches Dom's game. And whoever glitches gets deleted. And when you get deleted, you're gone. So they were trying to figure out who was going to do this move, and it ended up being Bugs Bunny. So he almost died. After they won the game, the AI is defeated. He's gone. He gets posterized. He turns into like a baseball card game, or a baseball card, or a Yu-Gi-Oh card, however you want to call it. He turns into a card, and that card gets diminished. It disintegrates. So there, he's gone. Looney Tunes win, but Bugs is dying. The real life people go back to real life world. Dom and James have a better understanding of one another, and then they go back to the real life as well. A few weeks later, Dom is at his techie camp. He thought he was going to go to basketball camp, so he brings a basketball, but when he finds out that it is his techie camp, he still keeps the basketball, and it's just supposed to be symbolic of how far they've come and how they understand each other better. We see Bugs Bunny, as Dom is walking away, Bugs Bunny comes up and he's like, I told you I can survive anything, because at the beginning of the film when they first meet, he said he can survive anything because he's a toon. So he's like, I'm back. He's not a 3D, he's still a 2D cartoon. He's like, I'm back, I brought a few friends with me, I hope you had some space. And that's essentially where the film ends. And I felt like this was more family friendly because it was family oriented. First Space Jam focuses more on Jordan and his career. This Space Jam New Legacy focuses on James and his relationship with his son. It's that stereotypical trope, the kid and the parent are always arguing, don't always see eye to eye. They are forced together, have to go through trials and tribulations or whatnot, and they get closer on the way, and they have a better understanding of one another as they get closer, right? And by the end of it, their relationship is fixed, or they compromise, they have a better understanding. The end. So because of that, I feel like it was a more family-friendly film. It still, I don't know if it had much adult themes in it. I don't think it did, but I don't feel like it was so sucky a movie. Like, I've been hearing, one of the criticisms I have been hearing is that the quality wasn't great. And I'm just like, well, the quality of this film isn't supposed to be the greatest. First off, let's not act like the original Space Jam and Michael Jordan's acting was top tier, or that film was top tier. And that's not to, you know, bash that film or his acting, because like I said, I really enjoy that film. But, and I guess people are like, well, it's 2021, it's supposed to be better. Well, yeah, but not really. Because this is not a film that is supposed to be top tier. It's supposed to be an average, loony kind of film. And for the most part, I feel like it was. Like, to me, it was no different than any other kids' cartoon that the kids grow up on now. Like, I don't think it was any different than that. I don't think it was so harsh on the quality that it was just really bad. I don't think the quality was supposed to be the greatest. It wasn't supposed to be Oscar worthy. Like, some parts could have been better. Like, for instance, they made a lot of references that I don't think kids today would have gotten. Like Casablanca, The Mask, The Wizard of Oz, The Matrix. Now, it's very possible that younger kids today are still watching these kind of films. I grew up watching those kind of films. I grew up watching The Wizard of Oz. That was one of my favorite musicals growing up. The Mask was a film that I would always watch when I was sick when I was younger. I don't know why, but it was. The Matrix I watched kind of young. Now Casablanca I only watched like a few years ago because it's a black and white film and I don't enjoy black and white films. So I only watched that a few years ago. But it's possible that younger kids are watching these films today, but highly unlikely. And so these references I guess could be for the adults, but I saw a critic say it was more of like a Warner Brothers ad, and I feel like it was more of a Warner Brothers ad than like adult callbacks. Like, hey, we have this, and we have this, and we have this. Did you know we have this? Guess where you can watch it? HBO Max. Like, it just felt like a huge Warner Brothers ad, because I know a lot of adults who haven't watched The Wizard of Oz, who haven't watched Casablanca or The Mask. Like, and if we were going to add in all these callbacks to all these movies, I feel like why couldn't you not add in music from the original film? Or why couldn't you bring in Michael Jordan himself for a cameo? Now, if it was for legal reasons, I totally get it. But if you could have done it, you should have done it. Because all these other references, who gets these references? Who as a young kid gets these references? So I guess that was the adult themes in them. But like I said, I know a lot of adults who don't understand that. However, that being said, this movie, I firmly believe this is a kid's movie. It wasn't really made for 20-year-olds like me, 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds. Despite the callbacks, it was made for a newer generation, a new legacy, and so maybe that new legacy wouldn't have understood those Space Jam references. That being said, I feel like you'd understand that Space Jam reference before you understood a Casablanca reference. Here's looking at you, kid. Who knows where that's from? So that is an issue that I do have with it. I also think, should this movie have been 2 hours long? This movie was nearly 2 hours long. Absolutely not. This movie could have been an hour 30 at max. It was very drawn out, and I do not think it should have been 2 hours long. I do not think it should have been 2 hours long. Would I go see this movie in theaters? Absolutely not. I would not pay $7 for a ticket or $5 for a ticket for me and my family or for me and my kid and popcorn and soda. Definitely not. If you have HBO Max, if you already pay for that subscription, I would definitely just watch it on HBO Max. I would not go to the theaters to see this. So, LeBron James acting. Personally, I think he did his best acting as a voiceover when he was a cartoon. But that being said, you know, a lot of people are coming for his acting. Oh, it wasn't the greatest. Neither was Michael Jordan's. You know, this man is an all-star basketball player. He doesn't have to be the greatest actor. Like, we've already addressed that this film is not really top tier. And if you prep for the role, like I really believe he prepped for the role, then you did your best. You did your best. It's not your forte. Basketball is your forte. Like, and if your favorite celebrity, like if your favorite athlete has other skills and one of those skills just happen to be acting, that's great. But acting is no easy fret. So like, it's not an easy thing to do. So don't think that, oh, he could have took a couple classes and been all right. He should have tried harder. I'm sure he did his best. I'm sure he did his best. He didn't have to act Oscar-worthy, tears, cry. You know, he didn't have to do all of that. He doesn't have to. This movie is not supposed to be so just magnificent. Like, yeah, it could have been better, and I guess that's where the quality content thing comes in. It could have been better, but it could have been far worse. I truly don't think kids care about this kind of stuff like we older people do. Like, oh, kids deserve quality content. Yes, they do. But are the kids complaining? Or are y'all complaining on behalf of the kids? Because there is a difference, and I just think y'all bitching and moaning because of nostalgic base from the first one. This film was not that bad that it's just like, oh my gosh, it's not a kid's movie. I wouldn't take my kid to see it. Like, if you need to put your kid in front of the TV, a 5-year-old who likes cartoons, there you go, Looney Tunes. A 10-year-old, 12-year-old, favorite athlete is LeBron James, favorite cartoon is Looney Tunes, there you go. It's loony enough, I feel like, to hold a kid's attention, and it may just not hold our attention, just like the first one didn't hold our parents' attention. It's for the kids. It's for a new legacy. And if the kids aren't complaining, shut your ass up. I'm sorry, but like, if the kids aren't complaining, let them have it. No, it's not the greatest, but let them have it. Let them have it. Now, two controversies that were really big even before the movie hit was the director and the producers taking out Pepe Le Pew. There is no Pepe Le Pew in this New Legacy film because the director thought that it would add and attribute to rape culture. And so you have two arguments here. One, people are arguing, oh, that's cancel culture, that's cancel culture. One, more like accountability culture, but that's a whole other topic for another video. We're not gonna get into that. I just don't think it's cancel culture. And then you have other people who are saying, well, why did you have to take him out? You could have used him as a talking point as to why consent is so important. And for those people, I can see where they're coming from. I really can. Hey, you see how he's touching her? You don't want to do that. You know, no means no. I can understand that. However, why do you need a talking point to talk about consent? Like, why can't you and your significant other be like, hey, we're gonna run through some scenarios and you tell us what's wrong with what I did? Or hey, we're gonna run through some scenarios, we're gonna tell you what's wrong with it. Or why can't you as the parent be like, hey, let's talk about consent? You know that no means no, right? You know that you're not supposed to touch people without their permission, right? You don't need a character or a caricature to say, hey, let's have a conversation about consent. Just have a conversation about consent. So my overall feelings of Pepe Le Pew being gone, it didn't take away anything from the film. It didn't take away anything from the film. So that's my opinion on that. To people who are criticizing it, saying it's cancel culture, fuck off. That's my opinion on that. Now the other controversy was Lola Bunny. She went through an entirely different outfit change than the first one. Like I said in the first one, she curvy body and overly sexualized. She's not in New Legacy. She doesn't have that hourglass figure as much. She doesn't have the short shorts and the crop top, or the jazzy music or anything like that. It's still just as skilled as basketball, just without being overly sexualized. And a lot of people are like, they want to attribute that to cancel culture too. I just don't understand why. I really don't get why. It's very frightening that y'all want to sexualize a cartoon bunny in a kid's film. My only guess is that it has something to do with nostalgia based. Like, you grew up on that cartoon, and you in addition to getting some attraction to that cartoon, you also just really a deep bond with that cartoon. And so when that cartoon switched up on you, you took it personally, and now it's just like a breakup for you, and you have to deal with that. It has to be something on a very mental, personal level, or a very mental level, because I do not understand why y'all are just so in y'all feelings about the desexualization of a cartoon bunny. I don't get it. And I've also seen like a criticism, someone was like, well, that just takes away the, oh, you can't be sexy and good at basketball. I don't know where that comes from. I really don't. Now, I'm not a sports person, I'm not, but I have seen a few games of the WNBA. You point out to me where they wearing short shorts and a crop top playing basketball. I'm not a sports person, but I would imagine that would not be the most ideal outfit for someone to play basketball in. It doesn't take away her. You can be sexy and still be good at and smart and good at playing basketball or whatever, and dress not in a overtly sexual way. That, I just don't see how that's taking away anything from her personality or anything. Like, have you seen some of the women who are basketball players who are in their everyday wear? Like, they're not dressed like in jerseys, but they're not dressed in overly sexual ways, and they're still pretty damn hot. And even in their basketball jerseys and regular basketball shorts, they're pretty attractive. I just don't understand why you are so caught up on sexualizing a cartoon bunny. it has to be some mental, oh, some sexualization. I created a sexual bond with her and now they're trying to change that, and I feel I'm taking it personally, and it feels like a breakup. It has to be, there's definitely a word for it. It has to be some mental level, because I don't get why you were so upset about the desexualization of a cartoon bunny. Now, if y'all wanted to be upset about the 3D cartoon moment, I would totally understand, because I thought that was butt ugly. I don't understand why cartoons do that. I hate when cartoons do that. Don't overly animate stuff for me. Just keep it simple. The 2D, just keep it simple. Just keep my cartoons simple. I don't need all that 3D cartoon stuff. I could totally get it. People were upset about that, but but what? I'm sure that there are plenty adult cartoons with adult overtly sexualized characters, if that's what y'all want. In addition to that, there's also porn and many other things in real life that y'all could watch instead of sexualizing a cartoon bunny for kids. So that's my thought, and for that reason, all these reasons, I just don't think it deserves half the hate it's getting. I don't think it deserves, was it kind of drawn out? Yes. Did it deserve to be 2 hours? No. But is it quality enough for kids? Yeah. I mean, one could call me simple, but it held my attention. It held my attention for those 2 hours. I was a little bit bored, yeah. A little bit bored, yeah. But it did hold my attention. I managed to finish it, so I just think it could hold a younger person's attention, especially if you want them off of screen time that's just right in front of them. Maybe you could put them in front of a TV that's not so in front of them, right? I don't know, but maybe if you just wanted them to watch a movie, get off video games or something like that, or you know, you needed them quiet or something, it's definitely a okay film. I would say it was okay. Like, I don't think it deserves half the hate it gets. But that's just my opinion. I also, again, don't think it deserves to be called a sequel, because I don't think the first Space Jam film and this one are compatible enough to be a sequel. I think this has a whole different plot, if only for the family-oriented base, and I just think it's different. And I'm okay with those differences. I'm okay with Pepe Le Pew not being there and Lola Bunny being, you know, wearing clothes that aren't overly sexual or whatever. So that's just my opinion. This is just all my opinion. What are your opinions? Did you watch it? Are you gonna watch it? Have you watched the first one? What did you think? What did you like? What did you dislike? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Please follow me on all my social media. Thank you for watching. See you next time.